Decision-making standards and procedures. The decision-making process in project management is a dynamic process that requires efficient and effective choices made to ensure project success. You'll see that it sets the precedence of project costs, logic models, and standards of communication, and lays the groundwork for recognizing risk and project execution. Course objectives. In this section of your course, you will learn why decision-making is imperative for project success. You will learn practices of decision-making and approaches for optimal success. Lastly, you will learn what factors may delay decision-making that lead to failures of the project. The course takes a deeper dive into who is involved in making decisions, practices of meetings, what type of decisions are being made, and organization environment when discovering change. Who makes the decision? The work breakdown structure and the board organize a procedure of constructing the project management team. This procedure helps the organization lay out the personnel who have the authority to make decisions. Each project is unique and may require different personnel to aid in expertise and efficiency of decision-making. The project manager and the team are responsible for daily operations and major decisions for the progress and ultimate success of the project. Good project teams share these characteristics. Focus on the goal that needs to be achieved. Analyze available data. Take into consideration project and organizational constraints. Manage risk and implement risk responses. Follow a reasonable process. Respect and develop team members. Client involvement. When looking at decision-making process, one must consider client expectations. Client-supplier relationship is crucial to building relationships and managing the expectations of the client to achieve a successful project. Some clients may want to be involved in every major decision, whereas some other clients expect to only receive updates of the status of the project. Listed are types of client involvement that are formulated at the start of a project to understand expectations. Partnering approach is a joint development process that has a high client involvement. Milestone approach. This approach states that the client gets involved and updated during only milestone periods within a project. Thus, there is a lower sense of client involvement. However, there can be minimal milestones within a project, and a client could revert to pop-up check-ins or additional meetings for updates. This can be cost ineffective and put excess pressure on the task performers. Criteria for decision-making. Decision-making procedures can be minor to major decisions. Procedures for decision-making can be seen at all levels surrounding a project, from the scope of work, logistics, project cost, procurement, project execution, closeout, and evaluations of a project. It can be seen that there are common criteria to consider for effective decision-making. Time. It has been said that time is money. In research studies, the value of time is dependent on the context of the decision. There is also a higher value of time when there is a higher value to quality of the good or service, as well as when there is a short waiting period to receive the good or service. Cost. When using a cost-benefit analysis, decision-making should have a need of manageability of cost relative to the project and financing possibilities. Cost can also be addressed as risk that can be factored into decision-making. Quality. Decisions should be made to provide quality service towards the project. Quality of a decision can also be considered as an expectation needed to perform a successful project. Scope. Decisions made should consider the deliverables of the project, constraints and parameters of the project, and logistics needed to complete the project. Approaches to decision making. Program managers are used to help make good decisions that are time efficient in order to move the project along. The approaches used or preferred by the project manager can be a major contributor to project success. The type of approaches to decision making have been researched by top organizations and management styles that can be used to make decisions. There are ranges from formal to informal approaches that look at client involvement, team gatherings, and communication strategies. And there are rational and non-rational approaches that look at logical and intuitive evaluations. An example of a formal approach is what many people call meetings. Meetings are formal scheduled gatherings for groups of people to establish an integrative and collaborative environment. A meeting flow approach is designed as a proactive style of meeting to utilize the results of the last meeting and tasks performed to propel forward actions to future tasks, rather than a traditional style of meeting where there are to-do lists and follow-up conversations. Informal approach. Some examples are seen as lunch with clients, conference calls, and communication strategies such as email. Rational approaches. This assumes a sequential approach for gathering data, brainstorming and troubleshooting ideas, and consensus for all the decision makers to implement decisions. Due to the dynamic decision-making process and uniqueness to every project, this approach does not consider ambiguity or unexpected circumstances to every decision. Non-rational approaches. These are seen as intuitive decisions. They are based on learned experience. This approach also uses qualitative data gathered from the organization. For example, decisions can be based on interactions you've had with the training staff, or the work environment encourages intuitive management styles. The following video is meant to take a deeper dive into the approaches of decision-making, time expectations, decision types, and the reliability of those decisions.
Project decisions often can involve many people, but also must be decided quickly to maintain the project schedule. Different decision-making processes have various levels of project team engagement and time requirements. When there is very little time, the leader just decides. This also requires very little involvement, but the leader loses the benefit of insight from other team members. When there is more time, the leader can check with some of the other team members and ask their opinion about the decision. After listening to each member's opinion, once again, the leader decides. When there is even more time available, the leader can call the entire team together and let them debate the issue. Each individual has an opportunity to present their position and to discuss the merits and defects in other positions. At the end of the debate, the leader decides. The final approach is where the entire team gathers together and debates until they reach consensus. This will often take a long time. It may lead to the best decision, although it may also lead to a stalemate and no decision when there are 2 or 3 irreconcilable positions. In that case, the leader has to step in and decide, often leaving the team feeling frustrated with winners and losers. Let's talk about the confidence we have in these decisions. The confidence is based upon the stability of the information used during the decision-making process and the reliability of that information. Reliability is based on whether it's fact or opinion, and stability is based upon whether the information is fixed or still changing. Ideally, key decisions on the project are made based upon fixed facts. These decisions should be final decisions and not revisited multiple times. However, sometimes, especially on development projects, we don't have any facts. We only have the expert judgment that is the opinion of the subject matter experts. In that case, we can decide on a direction. We can decide on what we think should be done. We should make that decision and then move quickly and efficiently on that path. However, at some point in time, we need to confirm that decision with actual facts. Sometimes we have some facts, but the facts are few and far between. The situation is still somewhat fluid, and each new fact adds another little piece of information. When that is the case, we can usually decide on some of our boundaries. What I mean by that is, we can eliminate some of the options. Let's say we're looking at 5 different ways to move forward, but based on the few facts we have, we can now eliminate 2 options. However, we still need to consider 3 options until we get more facts. We definitely are not able to make a final decision. Finally, sometimes there are no facts and there's no agreement between the subject matter experts. When that's the case, all you can decide on is to do something next. Hopefully that something will lead to facts or an agreement of opinion. At least you are moving forward rather than sitting and doing nothing.
Considering some of the decision-making approaches and management styles, making the decision requires a development of legitimacy. Legitimacy focuses on a sense of consistency, confidence, and trust as the project manager towards making a decision. An exploratory study noted how top management organizations make efficient and effective decisions. The following characteristics were seen made by all the tested organizations. 1. The decision-making process was intuitive, qualitative, and relatively fast, no more than a few weeks. 2. Most decision makers do not have profound knowledge on project management best practices. And 3. The decision-making process was driven more by internal motivations, for example, communication or efficiency, than by external motivations such as customers, client involvement, or regulation. Delays in decision-making. Delays in decision-making can lead to the ultimate failure of a project. All projects have time expectations and deadlines to continue the schedule of the project and ensure success. Thus, avoiding delays in the decision-making process will benefit the progress of the project. Here are factors that may delay the project. Collaboration. Studies prove that stronger previous collaboration relationships in decision groups contribute to more timely decision-making. Large decision groups should be avoided because coordination of meetings can take a while to schedule, and lack of effective communication can delay decision. Another reason is that larger groups have a harder time reaching a consensus and may lead to a delay in decision-making. Revisiting decisions and change orders. Cultivating an environment that personnel can bring forth new innovative ideas to solve problems can make revisiting decisions more efficient and effective for the project. During a project, new information can be brought about and may lead to adjusting previous decisions. Without a procedure of how to revisit these decisions, a delay could be a result. Change documents must be made if deliverables of the project change. The board should create a record for requests and approvals of the change. If procedures are not in place, delays to the project will occur. Review. Different types of projects imply different challenges for decision-making. The board will work with a project team to make efficient and effective decisions to progress the project. Considerations to client involvement and expectations aid to the success of a project. Decisions should consider time, cost, quality, and scope of the project. Best decision-making approaches from top management organizations can be non-rational with intuitive evaluations, have internal motivations, and are fast-acting. Formal meetings can be used for building legitimacy and consistency in communication and consensus of decision-making. Delays to decision-making can lead to a failure of a project. Some factors can lead to delays in a decision is collaboration with decision groups. The larger the size of a decision group, the harder it is to coordinate meeting times, share information, and cultivate a consensus in a timely manner. Newfound information can lead to revisiting decisions, and without a change of order procedure, decision-making process can be delayed and set back project deadlines. What's next? Before moving on to your next module, minimize this video and click on the bottom at the right corner of the web page labeled Quiz. To proceed and take the quiz, test your knowledge on decision making. Be sure to connect the ideas and concepts used in decision making as you take a look at risk analysis. As stated, risk can be considered as a criteria for decision making.